This last set of examples serves to illustrate how selective mode of categorization accounts for particularized use of language. In other words, I will show, relying on the selective mode of language use view, why on separate occasions both the same individual lexemes and sentences can serve to mean quite different things. Let us start from considering a simple sentence, "Mom does not like fast food." Well, on its face value, it means that mom does not like eating fast food. So these are the most common uses of sentences of the type, "She does not like plus a food item." This is what we expect such sentences to mean. Yet, the sentence "Mom does not like fast food" can also be used to select another content. Let me illustrate that. I remember once I overheard my children using that sentence when discussing preparing the Mother's Day celebration. Well, everybody in our household knows that I do like to eat fast food. However, my children also know that I do not allow fast food more than once a month, and I do not look happy on those occasions because I'm concerned about my children's health. So what my child selected with the sentence seemingly encoding the fact mom does not like eating fast food was that since mom does not like having fast food at home much, fast food will not make her happy. If you pay attention to what you're saying, you'll soon realize that quite often you're saying much more than what your words encode. Next, let me show you how one can use the phrase "in Krakow" to refer to different geographical areas, depending on the purpose of the communicative situation. Let us imagine that Susan, in her apartment downtown Krakow, Poland, is on the phone talking to Betty, who's right now on the plane approaching Krakow. It's Betty's private plane we are talking about, so she can use her cellular phone while traveling. Betty is coming from London and is about to land at John Paul II Airport in Balice, 10 kilometers from the city borders of Krakow. If Susan asks Betty, "Where are you?" Betty may truthfully reply, "I'm in Krakow." In this context, the options specifying possible locations with the precision relevant on a given occasion are the airspace over England, Denmark, Germany, Western Poland, Silesia, and finally the area within, let's say, 50 kilometers from Krakow. Consequently, the phrase "in Krakow" selects Krakow with its satellite towns, including the airport. If, however, Susan is calling Betty again an hour later, and Betty is still at Balice, waiting for a cab, she can no longer truthfully reply, "I'm in Krakow." Since this time, functionally significant options are the area of Balice Airport, between Balice and the city limits, the suburbs within the city limits, and downtown Krakow. Therefore, being at Balice Airport no longer counts as being in Krakow. So, depending on a situational context, a pragmine, or a situated speech act, as professional linguists call it, the same phrase "in Krakow," categorizing the same physical location, may be true on one occasion and false on another. Purely encoding model of categorization cannot account for such differences. Before discussing my last set of examples, I need to make sure that you're familiar with the concept of informational structure of sentences, which was introduced by linguists from the Prague School of Linguistics. Let me explain that using an example. Consider the sentence, "I've got a cat." If someone had asked the question, "Who has got a cat?" then "have got a cat" would be considered the given part of the sentence, "I've got a cat," given for short, while the pronoun I would be called new. If the question was, "What have you got?" the lexeme cat would constitute the new, while the fragment I have got would be called given. On the encoding view, no matter how we divide the sentence into given and new, it will refer to the same situation, for instance, to my having a cat. Consequently, no matter how we divide the sentence into given and new, the sentence will either be always true or always false, depending on whether I have the cat or not. Yet, assuming the existence of the selective mode of language use suggests that since selection depends on the options coming to one's mind, and what comes to one's mind depends on what has been interpreted before, changing what is given, interpreted first, and new, established, having already interpreted the given, may first result in a different interpretation. Second, on some occasions, it may be possible that the same sentence, depending on the division into given and new, may be true when assigned one information structure and false when assigned the other one. To illustrate what has just been said, let us interpret the sentence, many people read few books. Note that if we start interpreting this sentence with the phrase many people, in other words, treat the fragment many people as given with no prior context, we consider a fixed group of people. Next, knowing that typically different people read different books, we interpret the whole sentence as everyone in the group reading a different set of books. Yet, if we start interpreting the sentence by interpreting the phrase few books with no prior context, treated as given, then we interpret it as a specific set of books, fixed at the moment of speaking. So when modeled by read by many people, we relate the action of being read by many people to every member of that group the way we treated the group of people. To treat few books as given, it would be best if we move the phrase few books to the beginning of the sentence, since typically we start interpreting sentences from the beginning. In other words, place the given information at the beginning. To move, however, the phrase few books in English requires transforming the sentence many people read few books into its passive equivalent. Few books are read by many people. Yet, this is not the passive construction per se that introduces the change in meaning just explained. Because in Slavic languages, we can simply swap many people with few books without changing the active voice to the passive voice. And the effective change of meaning is analogical. As the last example, consider the sentence, English is spoken in Burma, and whatever Heizova and Petersgal noticed about it. If the sentence just mentioned serves to answer the question what language is spoken in Burma, then English is the answer new and is spoken in Burma is given, and the sentence is definitely true. When the part spoken in Burma is given, interpreted first, next your brain starts thinking about possible languages that could be spoken in Burma, and selecting English out of these languages selects the right answer. Yet, if the same sentence serves to answer the question where is English spoken, the brain treats English as spoken as given, interpreting this part first. Next, it starts considering countries in the world and the languages spoken there. Since the right answer to that latter question should primarily include UK, USA, Canada, and Australia, then the sentence considered is false. Clearly, these are very different contents conveyed by each of the sentences. English is spoken in Burma with different informational structure each, and no wonder that one of them may be true while the other one false. Conclusion: on the selective view of language, the content of the sentence depends on its informational structure.